Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about the Graded Response Action Plan, rather known as GRAP, in Delhi. So we will be discussing what is the issue now, what are the recent pollution control measures adopted in and around Delhi, what is GRAP and how does the GRAP work. We will also discuss how effective have been GRAP, and we will also see what are the shortfalls in GRAP. So all these topics we will discuss today in this lecture, and this is a very important topic for your UPSC preparations, both from your preliminary as well as your mains perspective. So let us begin with the current affair. Now when we look at the current affair, stricter measures to fight the air pollution will come into force in Delhi's neighborhood starting from October 15th of 2019, and this is a part of GRAP or Graded Response Action Plan. So in and around Delhi, stricter measures will be adopted in order to combat the issue of air pollution in the National Capital Region of Delhi. So in this background, let us understand what is GRAP, and we will also see how effective have been GRAP. So we will discuss about the stricter measures that will come into force as a part of GRAP or Graded Response Action Plan. Now let us see what are the recent pollution control measures adopted in Delhi. In the year 2018, a ban on using the diesel generator sets was implemented, and this was implemented only in Delhi. So in 2018, the ban on using diesel generator sets were introduced in Delhi, and in 2019, this ban on diesel generator sets were extended to few other NCR towns, National Capital Region towns. This is the most recent pollution control method or measure adopted in and around Delhi. But what is to be noted here is that many areas where the ban on diesel generator sets were introduced, these areas witnesses regular power cuts. Now, rural areas, when we talk about rural areas, are not included under this ban. This is because they have unreliable power supply, and this measure cannot be adopted in rural areas. So rural areas are excluded from this measure. Now let us come to GRAP. Let us see what is Graded Response Action Plan. The Graded Response Action Plan was formulated in 2016, and this was approved by the Supreme Court in the same year in 2016. And in the year 2017, the GRAP was notified by the central government, and the notification of the central government, and it is the central government notification that gives authority to GRAP. So in 2017, in this regard, the central government had issued a notification, and in 2017 it was notified by the center and thereby gets authority. And the GRAP was planned after several meetings of EPCA, that is Environment Pollution Prevention and Control Authority, with that of state governments and government officials and other experts. So EPCA has held several meetings before finalizing GRAP with that of state government, government officials, other experts, etc. And GRAP institutionalized the measures to be taken when the air quality deteriorates. So it has institutionalized the measures that are needed to be taken when the air quality deteriorates or when the air quality becomes very poor. So GRAP aims at rolling out progressively tougher actions as the pollution levels rise without waiting for an emergency to impose strict measures. So even though there is not an emergency, if the air quality deteriorates or if the quality of the air becomes down and the pollution levels rise, without the need for an emergency, without waiting for an emergency, GRAP aims at rolling out action plans or taking tougher actions. So this is GRAP. Now let us see how does the GRAP work or the functioning of the GRAP. Now the GRAP, the planning is incremental in nature. So it does not include action by various state governments to be taken throughout the year to tackle emissions. So it is incremental. It does not demand the state government to take actions throughout the year in order to combat air pollution. So what does it really do? So under GRAP, when the air quality deteriorates or when the air quality shifts from poor to very poor, the measures listed have to be followed. So the measures that are listed under the GRAP has to be followed if the air quality becomes very poor from poor, or when the quality of the air deteriorates. Now, if the air quality reaches a very severe stage, the GRAP talks about shutting down schools. These are certain measures that are listed. So the measures listed includes shutting down the schools, implementing odd even road space rationalization scheme, etc. So certain measures are to be adopted when the quality deteriorates. And the action plan under the GRAP, it requires coordination among 13 different agencies in the state of Uttar Pradesh, in the Union Territory of Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, etc. So basically it focuses on Delhi, but the other states like Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan, there are certain NCR areas or National Capital Region areas in these states. So it also focuses on the NCR regions in these states. So coordination among all these agencies are very, very important. Now, when we talk about 13 agencies, at the top level we have EPCA. EPCA is Environment Pollution Control Authority. And the EPCA has been mandated by the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has mandated the role of EPCA. Before implementing any decisions or before implementing any action, the EPCA will hold meeting with representatives of different states in the NCR region. So once the meeting is held, and then only EPCA will finalize the action plan. This is because EPCA is the top coordinating agency among the 13 agencies that are responsible for coordination and implementation. So EPCA acts as the topmost agency as mandated by the Supreme Court, and therefore before implementing any action plan, EPCA will hold meetings with the representatives of the state governments of the NCR region. And after the meeting, a call is taken by the EPCA on which actions have to be adopted or made applicable in which town. So certain actions suits certain towns. So EPCA will decide what action will be suitable for certain area, and accordingly actions are taken. Now let us see EPCA in some detail. EPCA is Environment Pollution Control Authority. Now EPCA is headed by a retired IAS officer, Bhure Lal, and EPCA also has other members other than the chairman. Chairman is a retired IAS officer, and the other members include members from Center for Science and Environment, and the EPCA is constituted in the year 1998 by the Supreme Court, which we have already discussed. EPCA is mandated by the Supreme Court. Now the initial mandate, that is when EPCA was constituted in 1998, the initial mandate or the objective of EPCA was to ensure the shift of Delhi's bus and auto fleet to CNG. So this is the initial mandate, the first responsibility that was given to EPCA. Now what is the objective of this body? It monitors the pollution levels in the NCR, and also it assists the Supreme Court in several pollution related matters. Supreme Court takes the opinion of EPCA in dealing with cases that is related to pollution. Now let us see how effective is GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan, whether it is effective and to what extent. So when we analyze the working of GRAP, we will see that GRAP has been successful in doing two things that has not been done before that. So first one is creating a step-by-step plan for the entire Delhi NCR region. So it has created a step-by-step plan in a phased manner. Now second one is it was also successful in getting on board several agencies. That means it was able to ensure the cooperation and coordination of different agencies. For example, pollution control boards, whether it is air pollution, water pollution, whatever pollution it is, all the pollution control boards cooperation and coordination was ensured. Industrial areas authorities, also municipal corporations, regional officials who are within the scope of pollution. So all these agencies were brought together. The coordination and cooperation of the agencies were made sure by GRAP. So these are two things where GRAP has been highly successful. Now Apart from this, GRAP was also able to achieve accountability and deadlines. It was able to fix accountability, who is responsible to whom and what is the deadline or what is the time frame within which certain targets are to be achieved. So time frame and accountability were also able to fix. Therefore, the accountability and deadlines were also fixed by GRAP and able to achieve it. Now also, for each action to be taken under a particular air quality category, executing agencies were clearly marked. That is, who will do what. The executive agencies, those agencies that will implement certain action plans. So it was clearly demarcated. And this is very important because for a territory like Delhi, where there is a multiplicity of authorities, assigning duties to agencies is a crucial task. So GRAP was able to succeed in this, and the clear demarcation of the responsibilities among different agencies, namely this 13 agencies, and ensuring coordination among these 13 agencies from 4 different states. So this was a task that was done very well by GRAP. And also 3 major policy decisions were undertaken by GRAP. The first one is the closure of thermal power plant at Badarpur. Second one is bringing the Bharat Stage 6 fuel, that is BS6 fuel, to Delhi before the deadline set initially. BS6 fuel was brought to Delhi before the deadline set. And third one, the ban on petcoke as a fuel in Delhi National Capital Region. So these were 3 major policy decisions, very significant policy decisions taken by GRAP. First one, closure of thermal plant. Second one, BS6 fuels. Third one, the ban on petcoke as a fuel in Delhi. So these 3 things very significant, very important. Now let us see what are the shortfalls of GRAP. The biggest concern with the EPCA as well as the GRAP. EPCA is the highest authority in GRAP, and GRAP is the action plan. So biggest shortfall is that it has kept its focus only on Delhi. The major focus or its complete focus was kept on Delhi. So Delhi was always the first one to get stringent measures to be enforced. And apart from Delhi, the other regions in the NCR like the states of UP, Rajasthan, Haryana, etc., where there are areas of NCR, National Capital Region, these states were delaying several measures. They managed to delay certain measures, citing that they have lack of resources. The focus of EPCA and the GRAP was completely on Delhi. Therefore, they were not able to make sure that the other regions were also able to implement these action plans. So the biggest challenge for GRAP and EPCA now, the challenge is to extend the measures to other states also effectively. So GRAP will become completely effective only if these measures are carried on to other states also. The focus should not remain exclusively with Delhi, but it should be carried out to other states as well. You can find the PDF of this lecture on our website www.studyiq.com. You can also follow my Facebook page for more video updates. You can write to me at joyce.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries and clarification. Thank you.